out there. Rachel here, Treehouse Knits, episode 36. How are you guys doing today? I hope you've had a good couple of weeks doing all the creative endeavors that you love. I have had a great 2 weeks and I have a lot to share with you. Getting ready for Christmas around here. It's been, standard end of November, early December. Had a great Thanksgiving. Had my parents and my brother and his family over. My 2 little nephews came. They were so good. We just had such a great time. And now it's hardcore prepping for Christmas for sure around here. You can find me on all the socials as Treehouse Knits. I'm on Ravelry, Instagram mostly, so check me out there. I also have a website, which I put these show notes on, the show notes for each episode, at thnits.com. I will put a link down below to that for the show notes. And show notes usually get up within the next 24 hours after the video has been published. So first off, I thought we would do our drawing for Bridget's socks. That's that awesome, or Bridget's Garden socks. That's that awesome color work pattern by Natalie from Remembrances Pottery. She graciously donated her latest design to us. I'll put a picture of it here. It is a gorgeous colorwork sock design. Actually, it's not her latest design. She has a new design coming out this Christmas. I think she's gonna have it ready before Christmas Eve so we can do it for our Christmas Eve cast on if you're interested, or a winter cast on if you're interested. I know Denise and I plan to do that. But anyway, she graciously gave me a copy of the pattern that I test knit for her of the sock pattern, Bridget's Garden. And I did I think we had almost 25 participants in that giveaway on the Ravelry page. On there I asked folks what their favorite sock was that they've made so far, and there's some really amazing socks in there, so if you want some ideas, check that thread out. I did a random number generator draw, and Fave Knits, that's Stephanie from Berlin. Hi Stephanie, you won. You were post number 22. I'll put in her favorite socks right here. So Steph, I know your Ravelry name, so I'm gonna just ask Natalie to shoot you that pattern to you. How perfect! No postage involved to Germany. So congratulations, and thanks again, Natalie. Also, we are running, this is gonna be the final month here in December of the year of the Mitten KAL. We've got hundreds of different mittens, colorwork mittens, that have been posted in the Ravelry thread, and I will be doing the December drawing. I think last time I said the next episode because I was thinking that would be in December, but here it is November. So I think it'll be next episode, or possibly the very last episode of the year. So one of those. Just keep posting. You have a great chance of winning, and yeah, check that out as well. We had some great comments and suggestions from our last episode's comment section down below here on YouTube, and I just wanted to, there were just some good questions that were asked that I think a lot of you might be interested in. So Becky asked, would you consider showing step-by-step on how you set up and then do circular for socks on the machine? I do have a vintage white 1502 knitting machine that I've been doing socks on if you've been watching the podcast lately. And I will think about doing that. I have to make sure I have the right setup so you can see well. The needles are so little on my machine, so I want to make sure if I put a video out showing how to do it, you guys can really see it and learn from it. Simply More Crafting, she said, great haul, Rachel. Look forward to seeing all that you made with them. P.S. I loved seeing that hat colorway from Plymouth that I went and ordered. I loved it so much that I went and ordered to make some for my grandbaby, a hat and a sweater. So I love to enable. That's a great colorway from Plymouth for sure. Michelle Young, she asked if there were, she lives in an area of the country that doesn't have a lot of nice local yarn stores, so she wanted to know if we could recommend some good online choices. And the online choices that came to me immediately were Webs or yarn.com. Webs, I visited their store. It's such a great store, and they do carry a wide selection of yarns, good yarns that we love. The other place I love is simplysocks.com. I think that's their website. A great selection of fingering weight. Not all socks, but great. Like they've got really good indie dyers and your standard sock, German, you know, like the Regia. Check them out. And then if you want to get some British or European wools, of course, the Woolly Thistle, I highly recommend. It's just such a well-curated business yarn store, online yarn store that you can't go wrong with what she has available. And if you want some really good books, knitting books, I mean, really well-written historical, educational books, Schoolhouse Press. Check them out. That's Elizabeth Zimmerman's legacy. Her daughter and I think grandson maybe run that Schoolhouse Press. So those are the knitting businesses, you know, stores online that I think of. If you think of any other stores that you love, Jimmy Bean's Wool, I've never ordered from them, but they sound really great. But if you know of some others that I haven't mentioned, why don't you just go ahead and make those in the comment below for Michelle. Maureen is asking if I would ever do an episode showing us how the knitting machine works, and I think I will do that. I will definitely pull that or come up with that. Martha says, again, you guys like watching things that I'm doing on the knitting machine, so that's cool. And she talks about how she's knitted for 60 years, and she loves both to hand knit and machine knit, and that they kind of go hand in hand. And she also recommends Susan Guglielmi's classes on Craftsy, which I have watched a couple of them, and she's an amazing machine knitter teacher. But what I really liked about her post is that there's a place in this world for both machine knitting and hand knitting, and they kind of go hand in hand. It's going to allow me to produce a little bit more, do what I love to do, which is the color work by hand, but I can maybe hopefully whip out, and I'll show you later, a sweater that I'm working out, but whip out kind of the more boring stockinette sections, which I also love stockinette, so it's a balance, you know, it's totally a balance. Nidra said, I love the mittens you're designing and making. She's talking about the mittens for my parents' 50th anniversary. She gives a tip. Now, last week I talked about my sweater that I tried to make, the body of the sweater on the machine, and the yarn that I used was a really rustic yarn from Sweden, and it broke and my whole thing fell off the machine. She says that rustic yarns need a gentle coat. But she uses a wax, either candles or beeswax, when knitting, and she runs the yarn over it when she winds the skeins. It makes the yarn run smoother. Who knew? So I have to look into that, and I thank you, Nidra, for that. She's from Norway, a viewer from Norway. Also, I had a viewer say that Jamieson and Smith 2-ply jumper yarn comes on cones, and they leave the spinning oil on the cones. So that's especially for machine knitters. It flies through the machine so wonderfully. Then when you wash and block, it's the softest thing ever. I gotta try that because I have not experienced a really soft Jamieson and Smith. She said also much affordable and no ends to weave in off that cone. I've got to try that. So thank you so much. I don't have the name here of who said that, but I really appreciate that. And Natalie, Remembrances Pottery, she is also enjoying my machine knitting antics, but she asked if I have to, what type of yarn do I have to use? Does it have to be fingering, or is that what just what I happen to use? Yes, it has to be either, it's called a standard size knitting machine. There's also a mid-range knitting machine and a bulky knitting machine. I've got the standard, which is lace weight to what I would say DK, or really light worsted. Works on my machine. So that's a good question. Joe Macriel said that she's interested in learning more about dividing a sock tube into 2 socks and doing that as a hand knitter. and she's just wondering if I could demonstrate that sometime. That would be a great tutorial, and I will look into doing that as well. Becky Shook had the same question. She would like to know how to do the sock tube. Anna Bing, I talked last time about how I lost my double eyelet needle, and since then I have got a new one. This is what it looks like. If you can see, it's got eyelet or eyes on each end, and it's an invaluable tool on the knitting machine. You really need one. At least I do for the things that I want to knit on it. And she said a good way to find it, because it has just disappeared. I have no idea where it is, but a good way to find it is to get a big magnet and just sweep the floor with it. I gotta try that. That's a great idea. And in fact, I showed last time that that needle set from Knitter's Pride that has the magnet in it. Or no, it was the necklace. It was the necklace, the magnetic necklace that holds the the stitch markers and such on it, and I should just sweep the floor with that magnet or with that necklace. That's a great idea. And yeah, so those were the comments below that I thought I'd just quickly touch on. I appreciate it. I love interacting with you guys. That's why I do this, is to meet people like you who enjoy knitting as much as I do. The very first poster on the comment section was someone called Gary's Only Gal. And she said, I'm a new follower and I'm loving your podcast. Gary's Only Gal, I don't know your name, but thank you for watching and following and being a new subscriber, and for commenting first right away. I would like to, if you are watching this video, shoot me a, why don't we just say, shoot me an email at treehouseknits@gmail.com, and I would love to give you a little prize. So go ahead and do that. If you're watching the next episode here right now, I want to reward you for following up and being part of our group. So Gary's Only Gal, treehouseknits@gmail.com. And I've got a little something for you. Just shoot me your mailing address. Okay, so those are the comments. And I think that was all the administration that I wanted to say. Okay, so let's get into the knitting. I've got some knitting finished objects. I've got some things that are coming down the pike that I'm really excited about. I've got some machine knitting I want to share with you. And then we'll wrap it up with a few little things that I got in the last couple of weeks. So why don't we get started with the anniversary mittens. Now my parents have not seen these mittens yet. My mom saw the prototype, which I'll show you again. The prototype, the yarn I used for the prototype is, oh, do I not have the tags with? I did it in this Norwegian wool Hillsvåg. I'll put it down below, the yarn that I used. It's a really soft, fuzzy kind of yarn, lots of halo to it, and it really just kind of gives a subtle, you know, it's a subtle mitten, grays and blues. And while it shows up well in the camera, in real life it didn't show up as well as I wanted. So I decided to pick some different colors that I had in my stash. Actually, I got these just for it. And last time I showed you the colors that I was working with. I was going to use that same blue, a new really dark green, which is kind of showing up, this cream color, and then I was going to use this mohair as the liner. So a kind of different combo of colors. And here is the mitten. Definitely more contrast. You can see the blue on the waves. I've got the Latvian braids in that dark green. And the Viking ship, I played around a little bit with my parents' initials. The very top is the last name, and Mary and Don. And then the birds are me and my husband and our two kids, and then the other mitten will be my brother and his wife and their two boys. And the Viking ship just symbolizes their journey together. The waves are the ups and downs. And then on the back, on this one, I'm putting 2018 on the thumb to signify when their 50th anniversary was. And then I've got the crosses because their faith is really the cornerstone of their relationship. And here is the mohair lining that I did in this green. And I love lining colorwork mittens because it hides all the floats. Not hides, but you just don't feel the floats as much when you put on the mitten. And I know you should not carry a lot of floats when you're making mittens, but oh, it just feels so soft. And I'll be honest, this is the Rauma 3. It's the DK Sport Weight Rauma. You know, it's not itchy, but it's not soft. And just to put your hand in the mohair is kind of like putting your hand in a cloud. So I've got one of these done. And I think that's what I want to share with you this time in more of a contrasting color. So let's see, the other item, that's a half-finished object. This is the other item that I got done. I started these last December, on December 13th, knowing I would not finish them for Christmas last year, and I just stuck them away in a bag, in one of my Christmas knitting bags, picked it up this past November and finished them. The sock pattern is the Tangled Lights colorway from Mustache Yarn. Beautiful, soft sock yarn, really cool patterning. I love this section, which I assume is supposed to signify the Tangled Lights. I ended up doing a 3x1 rib from the heel up just to see if that would be an even better fit for me. So I haven't worn them yet. We'll see. Did them as a 2 at a time toe up, afterthought heel, cut in later, and matched them as best I could. So great, great pair of socks, and Mustache Yarns never disappoints. So was happy to get those done. This is one of the last hand knit sock pairs that I had in my works in progress pile. So that is those. Okay, now there are two big knit-alongs, basically, that I'm participating in. The first one that I wanted to talk about is a knit-along that my guild, the Greater Grand Rapids Knitting Guild, is going to be doing. We have a designer who is local to us but known globally, Spout Knits. If you have not seen her designs, I highly recommend that you go onto Ravelry and check out Spout Knits. That's her logo. She is a huge fan of Moby Dick, so that's where she got the Spout name from. And the pattern we're going to be doing is called Boundary Bay. Inspiration for these stitch patterns, and what it is it's a big wrap with fingering weight. So it's, while it looks big, it really does drape beautifully together, and it feels light. It's not a heavy shawl whatsoever, but if you see a close-up of it, and maybe I'll put a picture of it here. I think I will. I'll put a picture right here. You'll see that there's different pattern motifs or different stitch patterns. She says inspiration for these stitch patterns came from motifs on Dutch Gansey sweaters. These dense hand-knit woolen pullovers were worn for work on fishing boats over a century ago. When designing Boundary Bay, I had my ancestors in mind. They all immigrated to the United States from the Netherlands in the late 1800s, some families homesteading in the Midwest, and some journeying even further to settle on an island in the Pacific Northwest. I named this wrap for the large body of water near my childhood hometown, where my family frequented the shorelines of both British Columbia and Washington, watching pods of orcas roll by, having picnics, and always walking and exploring at the tide's edge. I have a little bit in common with Ruth. Ruth Bolkins is the designer at Spout. In that I lived in the Pacific Northwest for several years before we moved back here to Michigan, and we live in a very Dutch area. I am not Dutch by ancestry, but I appreciate that her designs are inspired from the Pacific Northwest because it is a beautiful place and I loved living there. So we are going to do this pattern as a guild, and I wanted to show you my choices for yarns, and I thought I'd also show you my mom's since we pulled from my stash. This is a pretty much, except for the mohair, it's a completely stash busting pull. So for the bottom section, which is, and I hope you find this interesting. I like to see what people pull for colors. So if we're looking at this picture, this bottom section with this big cable, I'm actually going to use, it takes 2 skeins, so I'm going to use this really cool colorway. And I think what I'll do is I'll lift up, I'll show all the colors at the same time so you can kind of see the route I'm going. But I'm going to use that variegated for that section, and then this is the mohair. And I hope that's coming up. You use the mohair with and without some of the patterns, so it's, or some of the skeins of yarn. So I think this is a really nice color combination. This really dark green, which is actually a sock yarn. It's Kickapoo sock from Utopia. It's an 80/20, but oh, the depth of color in that is so pretty, and it just, I thought, went so well. This skein is falling apart, but this is a skein from, I believe it's a Malabrigo. Let me see if I have this tag. I guess I don't have the tag. If it's not, I'll put down below what it is. But I never quite knew what to use this skein for, but I'm excited to use that. Now with these 2 dark colors, I kind of wanted to do something a little lighter with the mohair and with the 3rd skein of fingering weight. So that's the route I'm going with it. Every section is a different motif or a different stitch pattern, so I think it'll be really interesting and fun wrap for our guild to do as a knit along. If you're interested in joining along with me, feel free. Not doing any formal knit along here on Treehouse Knits, but if that inspired you to check it out and you're interested in doing that for your winter, one of your winter projects, check it out and join me. Now my mom, who's also in the guild, she right away was drawn to these 2 skeins from Harriet, the Creative Obsession. I love these skeins too. The one here is called Chocolate Kisses, and then this one is just a coordinating skein, but the pinks, I cannot hold today. The pinks and the browns together are perfect. And then the mohair and 2 skeins of teacup hedgehog fibers. Let's see if I can get these all together. So that's what she's doing. And I think that's gonna be so pretty too. So I gotta skein those all up, wind them all up into cakes and get them ready for our next guild meeting, which is next Tuesday. Ruth is going to be coming and helping us kick off the event, which is really exciting to have the actual designer come. She's going to help us with our color choices, show us some key techniques in the shawl, and just kind of get us pumped to knit that as a group. And I will share with you the progress as we go. So, and if you live in the area here, feel free to check us out. We're the Greater Grand Rapids Knitting Guild. We meet the first Tuesday of every month, just a little outside of Grand Rapids at a local library. So if you're interested and want more information, definitely shoot me a message on Instagram or at treehouseknits@gmail.com for sure. So that's Boundary Bay. And the other KAL, I am so excited to start. I mean, so excited. I can't believe I did not hear about this a couple weeks ago when it first came out, but I am going to participate in the Julevaten 2018, which is a mystery knit along. That's a mitten, colorwork mitten mystery knit along run by the Knitting Guild in Norway. And that's the group of amazing designers in Norway that did that Eventavater colorwork mitten book. I think it's Tales from the Fairy Forest. Eventavater is the Norwegian name for it. When I saw that one of my favorite designers, Wenche Rold, I've done a couple of her mittens now. When I saw that she was the designer on this mystery mitten knit along, I had to join in. So I'm so excited. I'll just put a picture here of the logo. I have no idea what we're knitting, but I wanted to use Norwegian yarn. So I'm using this skein of kind of this oatmeal color of Rauma. And I find I really like the mittens in this DK Sport Weight. And then I didn't really have on hand any Rauma that went with it. So I decided to look in my stash of Sport and DK Weight. And I found this skein. It's a really mauvey, it's coming much brighter, out brighter than it is, but I'm gonna pair these two and I think it'll look festive. It says on the KAL that if you go with Christmas colors, it will look Christmassy, but if you don't, it's gonna work out just fine too. So I'm gonna go with these two colors, and I do have, see, the first clue is going to be coming out December 1st, which I think is Saturday. So I am so excited to do that. I'm kind of putting aside all my other mitten knitting to get that done. I'll be doing that, and then my Christmas Eve cast on. Hopefully I'll be done with the mittens, and I will start Natalie's awesome new sock pattern that I can't think of the name. I'm gonna put it down here. One of the other socks, I had a few socks that were the hand knit socks that I've put aside over the summer that I'm finishing up now. My last pair is in this amazing bag, knitted bag, colorwork bag from Hannah down Sheep's Lane that I won as a prize. Oh, it's the coolest bag in the world. Look at that. So cool. Anyway, it houses my socks that is actually yarn that she sent to me in a swap. It's this Novita Nale, 100 grams of that. And so far, here I am with my socks. I'm doing them toe up 2 at a time, but these are just a really it's gonna be a hard wearing sock. I already have a pair of socks in this same base, and I love them. My feet stay warm, but not too warm, if that makes sense. And it's just it's hard wearing, but still soft. So I love this sock yarn, and I'm just having fun doing these toe up 2 at a time. I have them snapped in this needle minder right now, but they're both on, I've just kind of folded the needle. So that's my other pair. You'll see those hopefully done. Oh, who knows? Who knows? Okay. Did I show you guys? I have these sitting right here. I don't think I shared with you. When I met Patricia P4Chin at Rhinebeck at the podcaster meetup on the hill, she gave me that amazing wool from her co-op's sheep, but she made these adorable little stitch markers. I think I'm gonna make some of them into progress keepers. They're so cute. Comes from her same, is it birch wood? I don't know, but I've got her sock or her mitten blockers over there. Anyway, okay, let's move on to some quick machine knitting. I have been chugging away at my sock yarn, and these are just some of the socks, the yarn that I've knit up. I have this pair of Barocco, what is this? Barocco socks, S-O-X. I would never recommend this yarn to anyone. While I love how they look, this yarn was, it was not a nice yarn to work with. It was so splitty. There were a few knots in it. It just, yeah, it was disappointing. It doesn't have the best feel in the world, but I do like this colorway. So these are going to my husband. He'll enjoy them for sure, but I did not enjoy, I mean, obviously I'm glad that I did not hand knit these socks. I did it all on the machine, and it was enough for me to do the heels and toes. I had had enough of the splittiness and just the knots that I encountered that I gave up. Now, on the other hand, this is a pair of socks that I enjoyed every second of on the sock machine and in hand. It's by Lang Yavol colors. Look at these cool, oh, I just love these colors. I think I might have shown you these last time now that I think about it. But, oh, Yeah, I did, because I talked about how I did not like how I started the yarn and made that little line there, but we'll just deal with it. We'll just deal with it. And the other, did I show you this one? I don't know if I did. This is Trench Coat by Turtle Pearl. I've had this in my stash. They're a little homage to Burberry. And I just made myself a really long pair of socks with those. Super soft. These are definitely luxury socks that I will probably wear in my house with my, you know, slippers, Birkenstocks, and just enjoy every second of my feet in them because they are very soft. So I have just been, you know, plugging out a couple of pairs of sock tubes a week on my machine. It takes me probably an hour and 15 minutes now to get 2 of the tubes out. That includes the ribbing, and then I just put in the toes and heels, and that seems to be working well. I've started a little basket that I'm just putting in my socks as I finish them. And I think what I'm gonna do for Christmas is I'm just gonna make the sock tubes, and then I'm gonna bring out the basket and let my family choose what socks they want, and then I'll measure their feet and cut in the heels and toes for them. Maybe I'll make the toe. I can do the toes on all of them, and I'll just wait to put in the heel. That's kind of a fun idea. So, that's what I'm gonna do. All right. You know, I did not even mention what I'm wearing today. I am wearing my Getting Warmer. I love this. This is so, I didn't know if I would like wearing kind of feeling like I'm in a tube. Because of the decreases going up, you start this pattern at the bottom and then work your way up. It fits so nicely. I love having it on my shoulder. I feel like I want to make a couple of these in different colors, and it was a bulky weight from my stash, so that makes me feel even better. This vest behind me, I forget the name of it. I'll put it down below here. This was such a nice knit. I knit it with Plucky Knitter maybe a couple of years ago, and it actually calls for a brioche on that collar band all around, and at the time I didn't do brioche. I still don't do much brioche. I just did a 2x2 rib, and it came out beautifully. I love wearing it. Yeah, so check out that pattern if you're interested, and if you're afraid of brioche or just don't want to do brioche, you can just do a regular rib. Okay, machine knitting, you saw the socks. I'm also attempting, my dream would be to knit the body and the sleeves of a yoke sweater, pick up all the stitches, and then hand knit the yoke. And I feel like, oh, that'd be so cool. I could get through so many cool sweaters by doing that. Now, when I went to a Plucky pop-up event, maybe 6 months ago or so, they had a bin of one-hit wonders, which is the yarns that didn't turn out the way they wanted, or they were testing a new colorway or whatnot. And it was in their Primo fingering, which is merino cashmere nylon. And I picked up enough for a fingering weight sweater in this really, it was a really cool gray color. Some of them had little spots on them. They're all a little bit different, but they were all in this same family. Here are 2 that I have not yet used. You can see there's some dye that got on there. But anyways, I went ahead on my machine, I set it up, and I knit the sleeves, I knit the body, and I put it together. So here it is. You can see it's very striped. Let's see, how can I best show you? So I started with, you can see one skein of Plucky striped up, and then the second skein was a different stripe. But I started at the bottom. The pink you see is waste yarn off the machine that will come off. And then just recently, I did the sleeves on the machine, which I'll tell you what I did, actually. I used the pattern. I bought the new book by Mitten KAL Knits. What's it called? Oh, I can't think of the name. I'll put it down. Oh, no. Strange Brew. I looked in Strange Brew and found a pattern for a fingering weight yoke sweater, which happens to be called Icefall. And I got the dimensions and the stitch count from that pattern. Now I did this after I tried just knitting a really big tube for the body. And I counted then what gauge I was getting on the body, and I was off by a stitch on the gauge. I had more stitches on the gauge on the sweater than was in the pattern, which would mean my sweater would turn out smaller if I used their numbers. So I'm not sure if the body is gonna fit, but I went to the sleeve section of the pattern and I made sure that I got gauge in the pattern using the numbers for the sleeves, and I did the decreases. So for on the knitting machine, and when you're knitting the actual pattern, it starts at the cuff and it works its way up. Well, I'm gonna knit the cuffs. So you'll see the pink waist yarn on there, but see my decreases from the machine? You can see them. Really cool. Oh, so fun to do. So then what I did is I followed the directions in the pattern for picking up all the stitches around, and that's where I'm at right now. I have 6 rounds that I'm going to hand knit, and then I'm going to hand knit the color work pattern. Now I'm contemplating, because of all the weird stripes, it doesn't look all that bad because the sleeves actually look the same. I was contemplating throwing this in a dye bath, maybe like a dark gray, and just dyeing the rest of this all a dark gray and then using contrasting colors for the color work. What do you think of that idea? Would I just use a regular acid dye? I need to do research. This is a merino cashmere nylon, so I guess I could do a test, I know, but who wants to do a test? But I'm really excited about this concept, and I learned a lot about how my machine works and how I did change out a needle because there was a needle that was creating a slip stitch, which I'll show you. Well, it's a drop stitch there that I have to fix, but this is a learning sweater for me, so I'm not going to get mad at myself that it's not perfect. My sweaters are never perfect, let's just be honest there, but I'm not going to be hard on myself. This is a total practice. I wish I could now go back and re-knit in the looser gauge the body, because the sleeves are at a gauge that it's just lovely to wear. But so I may end up unraveling this whole sweater, who knows? But that's where I'm at. It's so fun. Oh, it's so exciting. I really am enjoying having both a knitting machine and using my knitting skills with it. It's just been a lot of fun, fun. Okay, so that's my sweater. And so that's what's been going on here. I did get new knit crates. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's a sparkly sock crate this past month. Look at what I got. Can you see the sparkles? They call it apple, but it is hot pink, but it's tonal. Oh, I don't know. What can I make with that? This would be a very fun pair of socks for sure, but yeah, it's a 70-20, 10% stellina. That's why it's so sparkly. It's so pretty. And then the regular knit crate, I got 2 skeins of this awesome kind of midnight dark blue black. There we go. 2 skeins of this for, I think it was $24. So thank you, Knit Crate, for sending these to me to share with you guys. I wish these were fingering weight because these would be perfect with a white skein for Natalie's socks. Oh, but anyway, maybe I'll make slipper socks. I don't know. Both the knit crates came with another great pattern book with all the patterns that all the knit crates offer. So that was the November knit crate. I think you can still get it. December will be coming out shortly. I'll share that one with you when I get it. And if you are interested in learning more, I do have a link down below or through my Instagram, the Instagram bio link to Knit Crate as well. All right, so I got a few things that I'm going to be working on. I shared with you already early, but I'm sitting here looking at this really beautiful sock that I got from Needles Up from, what's her name? Fiber Nymph. Look at how that's coming out. The sock machine is not a huge fan of the little tweety bits, but we're making it work. And I look forward to cutting in the heels and toes on that one. And then the other thing I'm really excited about is, and I ripped it out yesterday because it was a practice, but I am going to start lining my mittens that I've knit with mohair that I have on my machine. So what I can do is I can hang this on my machine, put the loops on all the needles, and then knit the cuffs, or I'm sorry, knit the linings. So I did one yesterday. It worked really well, but I didn't make it long enough. So what I need to do is figure out the gauge. I need to make a gauge swatch. I need to see what the row gauge is and multiply that by the length of the mitten. I ended up making one that only came to here, but it works. It was such a beautiful, easy way. So what I'll do is I will just knit the tube, and then because it's mohair, I'm just going to catch all of the stitches at the end and pull it through instead of decreasing, because it's the tip of the, normally your fingers don't make it to the tip. And then I'm just going to do an afterthought thumb on my own by hand. So that's kind of the latest thing that I'm trying on my sock machine, and I will share with you how that, not my sock machine, my knitting machine, and I'll share that with you, share the progress with you. So that is it. We've reached the end, and I do hope you are all enjoying November. I am so excited for some of the Vlogmases coming up. I'm excited for Denise's Vlogmas, for Sandy's, Sandy by the Lakeside, for Opera Joe's. I love seeing what everybody's up to in short little clips every day. It's a lot of fun. I considered doing some sort of Vlogmas, but my life is really kind of, I don't know, I just feel like it's boring. So I will hopefully do a couple of podcasts in December, and I do post on Instagram regularly, and maybe I'll do some extra stories this coming month too on some of the things that we're doing. But I hope that you have a great, I gotta fix myself here. There we go. I hope you have a great couple of weeks. Have a wonderful early December, and we'll see you on the next episode of Treehouse